In the joy. What starts as a harmless Monday hug mutates into Gumball's darkest episode. Richard's wonder hug unleashes a rainbow blast that spreads a creepy, happiness-corrupting virus, turning Gumball and Darwin from half asleep to disturbingly manic. As Elmore sinks into misery and even Miss Simian feeds on the gloom, the episode leaves you asking one chilling question. What if joy itself became the real horror? Outbreak at home. It all starts in Gumball's kitchen. Richard sees his kids sulking and insists on a wonder hug filled with boundless happiness. When he hugs them, a literal rainbow explosion erupts from him. Gumball and Darwin think nothing of it. But this moment instantly seeds the chaos that follows. Infection spreads at school. The atmosphere is bleak. The halls are full of drained, Monday miserable students and teachers. But Gumball and Darwin can't stop grinning. They burst into song during class. "Keep smiling, homie." Much to Miss Simian's horror, she yells, "How dare you sing in my class?" While Gumball sashays away, still happily clicking his heels. It's both hilarious and creepy, like a clown in a horror movie. Miss Simian, sounding the alarm. Miss Simian quickly realizes this isn't normal happiness. She knows these boys aren't just cheerful, something is wrong. In fact, she declares the joy they have is actually a dangerous disease. Big moment. She treats it like an infection, not a mood. Sure enough, soon Gumball and Darwin are hallucinating wildly, thinking Miss Simian is a giant teddy bear and the nurse is a candy cane. Quarantine and escape. Miss Simian locks them in the nurse's office as their condition worsens. They're hysterically laughing, straps undone, heart rate monitors turning, then rainbow, but containment fails. Gumball and Darwin break out and shuffle crawl through the halls. They hug Principal Brown and the school nurse, instantly infecting them with the same joy virus. At this point, the situation is out of control. Every hug spreads the infection. Full-blown zombie. Panic. Miss Simian flees into her office, but it's too late. Infected students are all over the school. They become frantic, zombie-like creatures, glued in creepy smiles, just like Gumball and Darwin had. Meanwhile, Miss Simian accidentally turns on a cassette player playing her favorite depressing classical music. Amazingly, hearing that music makes Principal Brown cry and snap out of it. It's the first clue that intense sadness can cure the joy. The last-ditch plan. Miss Simian hatches a plan. Hook the cassette to the school PA and broadcast the music to all the infected. It sounds hopeful, but there's a catch. She has to run through a hallway packed with grinning zombies to reach the PA. She attempts the dash, but they chase her down. She reaches the office just as the song ends. By the time she tries rewinding the tape, the infected kids tackle her. Although she fights back, it's too late. She succumbs to joy. The episode ends on Miss Simian, now smiling and laughing uncontrollably. We never see the cure happen, we see no rescue. The last image is her creepy laugh. It's unbelievably bleak. An episode named "The Joy Ends in Pure Horror." Even after that roller coaster, big questions loom. How is it cured? Did Principal Brown save the day off camera? How did this disease start? Let's list some clues hidden in the episode 1. The Curing Sonata. Miss Simian's beloved Beethoven sonata instantly cures Principal Brown and makes him weep. To her, the sonata is sadness. This implies that intense sadness can overpower the joy. Miss Simian's resilience. Miss Simian, the queen of gloom, resists the joy longer than anyone. She only finally succumbs after being hugged by many students. Possibly her love of sadness gave her some protection. Rainbow liquid. Check carefully. Infected kids spit up a strange rainbow-colored fluid. In one scene, Coach coughs rainbow drool into his hand. This isn't normal saliva, it's literally the virus carrier. Every infected hug transfers that rainbow virus for joy as a sentient virus. The joy behaves strangely. It seems to want to spread. It's aware of Miss Simian's resistance, and when thwarted, it becomes violent. Everything points to the joy not being a mere illness, but a living virus that spreads by hugs. Richard's immunity, the root of it all. Richard's wonder, hug infected Gumball and Darwin. Yet Richard himself is completely immune. Why? The theory is, he's already too happy. The joy virus has no effect on him. "I'm a bun, I'm a tasty, tasty bun," he sings, seriously, showing his bliss. Why would Richard do this? Simple. He was too naive. In trying to cheer up his kids, he unwittingly created a monster. These clues paint a picture of what's really going on under the cartoonish chaos. But let's dive deeper. So what is the joy virus, really? And how does this nightmare end? Here's the theory breakdown. Sentient rainbow virus. The evidence says the joy is a virus, a very strange one. It turns its hosts into living avatars of happiness against their will. Every hug spreads it, not through germs, but through that rainbow bodily fluid. In fact, the episode makes it crystal clear. After being infected, Coach coughs up rainbow goo that he then touches others. That rainbow gunk is the virus. In other words, the joy is a virus that literally uses the positive symbol of a rainbow to spread. Sadness as the antidote. The only counter we see is extreme sadness. Miss Simian's Beethoven is basically her antidepressant. It's so devastatingly sad that it reverses the infection. Principal Brown, overcome by sobs, immediately goes back to normal. This reveals a dark irony. Happiness becomes a disease and only the darkest sorrow can cure it. It's almost like toxic positivity. Forcing smiles is lethal, and you have to crash back into misery to survive. The rollover reset. But hold on, the episode ends before we see a full cure. So how did Elmore ever return to normal? Fans have a popular theory: the whole world just resets after the credits. In Gumball's universe, catastrophic events often vanish by the next episode. Think school blow-ups and magic resets. Maybe that's what happened here. The joyful apocalypse was undone off-screen, so life goes back to normal by the next day. Richard's cosmic role, the biggest twist. The origin: Richard hug-nailed the whole thing, but the virus couldn't infect him. Why? Some say adult brains are stronger, but that's disproven since almost every adult got infected. The working theory. Richard was already a natural joy giver. He's always in a blissful state, witness tasty bun, so the virus couldn't latch on. When he hugs his kids, his boundless happiness seeded the virus in Gumball and Darwin. He didn't do it maliciously. In fact, he had no idea of the dark consequence. He simply tried to solve Monday blues and accidentally released a virus. Why did the virus spread him? Ultimately, this joy virus wants to cheer everyone up, even if the method is suicidal. Richard's harmless intent, cheer my kids up, is reflected in the virus's goal: hug every unhappy kid in school. The problem is, it doesn't know when to stop. It's like a hyperactive caregiver gone rogue. The moment Miss Simian tries to stop the hugs, the virus gets more aggressive. So the resolution, in short, is a mix of off-screen magic, reset, and heroic sadness. The on-screen answer: Beethoven's sad tune would save them if only it would play long enough. Off-screen? Probably a universe reset or some undisclosed cure. Either way, by episode's end, the conflict peak is Richard's love-turned virus versus the world's sadness. At the climax, the episode delivers a brutal lesson. Forced happiness can become lethal, and real rescue might mean embracing sorrow. It leaves you with the image of Miss Simian, depressed at first, then fighting back joy, and finally breaking into that terrifying laugh. That final shot embodies the episode's theme. Joy itself turned dark, and sadness was the only hope. Think about it, an episode called The Joy is actually a horror story about the dangers of toxic positivity. The rainbow, usually a symbol of pure happiness, here is a weapon. The grayscale, Monday misery setting, the manic singing kids, the classical sonata. It's all a play on emotions. Gumball was depressed at the start. Ironically, to save him, he had to nearly make everyone else sad. It's full circle in the most ironic way. Even Miss Simian, obsessed with gloom, eventually smiles, showing how utterly twisted the situation is. Symbolically, it's also about balance. Gumball's world is usually cartoon silly, but the joy shows what happens when the scales tip. The episode got this pitch black humor by keeping the pacing brisk. No slow parts, just one jump scare after another. And by contrasting goofy lines like Richard singing I'm a tasty, tasty bun with horrifying imagery. That absurd line perfectly captures how nothing can disturb Richard's boundless happiness, even as the school crumbles. Emotionally, the ending is crushing. The music was almost the antidote, but Miss Simian gets caught in traffic of zombies. When the tape finally stops, her laugh rings out, a harrowing note of surrender. It forces viewers to feel the hopelessness. Yet, in a twisted way, it's also fitting. Every moment is bittersweet. Every joke masks a deeper commentary on feelings. This dark episode proves that Gumball, despite being aimed at kids, isn't afraid to tackle big themes, albeit with slapstick and colors. By the end, you're left thinking, maybe the lesson is to respect all emotions, not just forced cheerfulness. We've just uncovered every twisted layer of The Joy, the episode that turned a family hug into a rainbow apocalypse. Who knew happiness could go so wrong? But what do you think? Did the world really reset, or is Richard secretly Elmore's hidden hero? Drop your theory below. If this breakdown blew your mind, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more wild cartoon mysteries. Because sometimes the brightest smiles hide the darkest secrets.